Hey guys, it's Amy from Misfits. I am just going to share with you my typical exercise warm-up, specifically for weightlifting. The first part of my warm-up is what I've talked about before on stories, which is CARs, so controlled articular rotations. And it's the premise that we want to have stability in our joints rather than just flexibility. So it's teaching your body the brain-body connection. When we think about body memory, the way we sit in chairs, sleep at night, the mind remembers where those muscles are, and we have to retrain them if we want them to work better for us. So I'll just run through what I typically do for CARs, and then I'll run you through my weightlifting warm-up. So first I start with my neck, and all of these movements should be super, super slow and should not be causing pain. So your range of motion and rotation should be within your capacity for range and not over pushing the limit. So simply starting down, typically mouth is closed for the neck, and you'll look down and then slowly carve your chin to your shoulder to as far as you can see, and then you start drawing your nose up at the ceiling or the sky and then back around. And I will usually repeat that 3 times in one direction, and then I'll go in the other direction. Okay, again, 3 directions each side. These are great to do first thing in the morning when you're getting out of bed, getting your joints ready for the day. Next is shoulders. So the arm starts down, the thumb is out. I tend to put my hand here to keep my ribs down. We want to make sure the shoulder joint is functioning and not the shoulder blade, not the ribs, not the hips. We're not arching. So this is just a reminder to me to keep things tucked down. Sometimes squeezing your glutes helps you also to remember to keep everything in place. And then we'll slowly draw up, thumb up to the sky. And then you'll get to here until there's some stop. I could go further, but then I tend to lift that shoulder blade. So I'm just going to go until I kind of hit a little resistance. I'm going to flip my hand, and then I'm going to draw it backwards. Slow and controlled. And when we reach the bottom, we'll then draw back up. Very slow and controlled. Again, you'll hit a stopping point, where in order to go farther, you'll have to lift the shoulder blade, which we don't want to do. Once you hit that point, you'll turn your hand back, thumb up to the sky, and come down. Again, 3 revolutions through is just a good number for me, but you can certainly do more or less. And we'll even it up on the other side. Same, thumb up, going very slowly and controlled. And I'm actually going to turn to the side to show you what that looks like this way. Next is to do the hip range of motion. This is helpful to have something to hang on to, so I'm going to do my best to keep my balance. This is super important that we don't want to be leaning, so again, thinking about keeping the ribs tucked down. You can squeeze one of the glutes, and then you're going to raise the knee up. You're going to rotate the hip joint out as far as it will go, and then you're going to internally rotate the hip, again, just as far until you meet resistance, and then continue that joint around. This is one that gives me totally cramp city right here, which means there's probably some weakness in that joint, and doing these more regularly. So I'll do them about 3 times a week. So if I really did them more, it would get stronger. As well as there's another education to this process called pails and rails, and I won't get into it for this video, but it's working on problem areas and how to strengthen those joints. So do this side to even it up. Up, out. So again, I could go further if I lean, but we want to keep the body upright and focus just on the hip joint, the ball and socket. I'm going to rotate around till we reach the bottom, and then we'll go in reverse. Great. And then spine is the last one I do. We certainly could do knees and ankles. I tend to focus on the large ones that are going to be affected because I don't typically have issues with my knees and ankles. But again, if those are problem areas for you or you have more time to get all of those in, we'll link a website for you that you can check out. So for spine, we focus on cat and cow. If you're familiar with yoga at all, so we're up like this, and then down like this. So with cars, we want to move extremely slowly, one vertebrae at a time is the goal. So I would slowly tuck the tailbone under, and then one vertebrae at a time come up, and then one vertebrae at a time coming back down. So that can be super challenging to one, stay slow, and to move one vertebrae at a time. We often tend to have a sticky spot in the spine that maybe moves all as one, whether that be in the thoracic, the upper back, or the lower back. So there are, again, some additional things you can be doing if you find those sticky spots. And then moving on to my warm-up weightlifting, I'll usually just get onto one knee like this and do some spinal twists up and down, and then I'll switch legs and do that again. And you can kind of pick a number that works for you, whether it's 5 repetitions, 8 repetitions. The next one is coming forward like this. I'll actually show you from the side. And you're just gonna rock forward. We're stretching out the hip flexor. Same thing. Okay. Next we will activate the abductors. So we're gonna come out like this and do a little squat. Ooh, cracked my knee. Old lady problems. This is one of my favorites. This is something I've been working on with some weight for my squat technique. Let's see, what else do we do? I do like to do some toe touches, so instead of just simply bending over and touching toes, we may need to bend the knees a bit, and then we're gonna just reach straight down and squeeze at the top. Squeeze at the top. Good. All right, so those are the basics that I do using a little weight or a resistance band. There are a couple of additional shoulder exercises you could do. So again, I'll link those for you, and then you can get started with your workout. Have a great day, guys.